waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was that ribbon of highway I saw above me, that endless skyway I saw below me, that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. Sparkling sand of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, the Redwood Forest, the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. My name is Nancy Hirschhatter. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm this morning's Sunday service coordinator. Please silence your phones if you have not done so already. As we settle in together, we will respectfully acknowledge that we're on the traditional unceded lands of the Pukwudwet people, and that as people of faith, we are still learning about how we might live differently knowing this.
Part of that learning is even in this song. We sing that this land is your land, this land is my land, but originally this land was not our land. This land belonged to the Pukwudwet and other peoples who are already here, and it was basically stolen. So this land is your land might not be the best song for our Pukwudwet friends.
Matter of fact, there is a verse about that, and we are about to sing it. Oh, okay. As I went walking. All right, okay. Let's start over. I'm sorry, Jen. This land is your land. This once was my land. Until we sold you Manhattan Island. You pushed our nations to the reservation. This land was stolen by you from me. When the sun comes shining and I was strolling, and the roof is waving, the stars rolling, the sound was lifting, a voice was chanting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, to the Redwood Forest, to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. A quick announcement, first from Joe Gelati. Due to rescheduling delay, the meeting Examining Personal Stress in a Chaotic World will start this morning at 11:20, not 11:30, in the library in the cottage, and if you're interested, bring your coffee with you. Snacks will be provided. This afternoon, from 2 to 3:30, Congregation B'nai Israel, up the road at 193 Clapboard Ridge, will be hosting an introduction to Judaism for non-Jews. This kicks off a series of introductions to the houses of worship on our street. Whether you arrived this morning on top of the world, or down in the dumps, or somewhere in between, it's good that you are here, and it's good to be together. Let's take a moment to wave hello to those online. Good morning. And to greet others in the room with us.
This Land is Your Land, as originally written by Woody Guthrie, had a lot of verses. One original draft had 13. Most people only know the first couple of verses because a lot of the verses are not usually sung. And one of the reasons for that is some people have trouble with the things those verses talk about. One of those verses is about private property and public ownership of land. Another verse is about the downsides of capitalism. So sometimes we run into people who haven't even heard that these verses exist. So today we're going to sing all the verses. So we're going to pick up the song again with one of those verses.
As I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign said, no trespassing. But on the other side, it did say nothing. That sign was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. It's in the city, in the shadow of the steeple, by the relief office, I see my people. As I stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking on that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever make me. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
I'm sorry, where are we? Here. Yes, Anne Marie, children's affirmation.
Oh, I thought we were on announcements. Okay, I want to invite Indy up to help me with this morning's children's affirmation. The words are going to be on the screen. Come on up, Indy. All right. And you're going to say the words right into here. Okay, we're going to say it together. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing. Show us true beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing. Show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
We make this time and this place holy simply by being together with each other. And we begin by lighting the flaming chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. Please join me in reciting the words to our chalice lighting affirmation. While Nell lights the chalice. words on your screen. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Okay. So, last month we braided our joys and sorrows together. I brought those braids back this morning. Our joys and sorrows may have changed since then, but we are still connected and our joys and sorrows are still braided. So I wanted to pass these braids around, and Maisie, I'll have you just start them one at a time, maybe in each row here, passing them around. And I want to invite everyone to hold each braid in turn and silently offer a blessing to the community through that braid. A blessing from each person for every braid. And then the last person to offer a blessing for each can return them to the chancel table as a reminder of the ways that we are held in love, even right this moment. I have a short poem to share with you by Farah Tucker. I'm hanging on by a thread, and so are you and him and her and them. But what if we tied our threads together? What if we stitched something strong enough to withstand the weight of it all, of us all? Big enough to make sure there's always a place to hold on to, even when parts of the fabric are threadbare. I'm hanging on by a thread, but I'm trying to learn how to weave. Today we have one more reason to think about threads and tying and stitching and weaving. I invited our friend Jet Pig to come help with this, but Jet Pig's been hanging out with Maisie, so now Maisie, you can go ahead. This is Jet Pig's jetpack. Jet Pig took off the jetpack for the moment. So last month, stay up here for a second, Maisie. Last month, Maisie and I introduced our friend Jet Pig to the congregation, and we showed you how Jet Pig has the jetpack fueled with love that makes the impossible possible, makes pigs fly. But we promised that we would start to give you clues about where Jet Pig's name came from this month. It's kind of like a code name. So here is the first clue. Every letter in Jet Pig has a word that goes with it. A word that starts with the same letter. So Jet Pig starts with a J. Hold that up so everybody can see. That's a J sound. So we need a word that starts with J. Joy. I love it. Justice. Oh my goodness. I think we got our word, didn't we, Maisie? That's it. That's the word. The word is justice. And I bet some of you have some good ideas about what justice means. Let's share some of these ideas. What does the word justice mean to you? Fairness for all. Equality, did I hear that? Okay.
We all play by the same rules.
We all play by the same rules, okay. There's such a thing as truth.
We all receive the bounty of the earth equally.
We all receive the bounty of the earth equally. We all get to love who we want to love. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Absence of discrimination.
Absence of discrimination. Any others? accountability. I asked JetPig to bring a symbol of justice today. So let's open up Maisie JetPig's backpack and see what they chose to bring. Okay, wait, hold it up for everybody to see. There we go. All right, so it looks like there are two things attached to one another here. The first is a stitched image of a flame. Sometimes in our spirit play group, we use the word yearn to talk about the things we want very badly, like flames burning in our heart. And many of us yearn for justice, for a beloved community free from racism and oppression. This flame also reminds me of our chalice flame. Our flaming chalice symbol was created during World War II, a time of danger from fascism, as a symbol of hope that was used in very practical ways by the Unitarian Service Committee to make documents look official in order to help people to safety and to signal to people where they could find safety. But on the back of this flame, here, just turn it around for now, there's some fabric. JetPig tells me that justice isn't just about individual people, but about weaving something together that is good for all. A beloved community where everyone can thrive. We want all people to be safe and to get what they need to thrive. This means sometimes justice is about mending tears in the fabric of our community, which we'll talk about later. But the bigger thing about justice is that we're creating something together. Justice is about weaving the fabric of beloved community, a community of goodness and fairness and belonging for all people, filled with the kind of love that fuels JetPig's jetpack. So let's put this symbol up on our chancel table today, and we'll keep it there for the weeks to come as a reminder that just like the Unitarians and Universalists who came before us, we are a community called to be menders and makers of justice. And I also want to invite any kids who are not up in the Spirit Play corner who would like to come up now.
Some people think justice is about punishment and giving everyone what they deserve. And it's a good idea to have strong, hard, difficult punishments to keep people in line when they break rules or laws. I think it's also important to make sure that people understand what they did wrong and why it was wrong, and learn about how that wrongdoing can hurt others and how to keep from repeating the hurtful mistakes. When we make mistakes or do something wrong, one of the things we can do that promotes justice is apologize, especially if we hurt someone. But apologies are not just saying, "I'm sorry," and letting it go. There are actually 4 parts to an apology. The first step is to admit that you did something wrong and you know what it was and why it was wrong. The next step is to explain how you know what you did was not okay and that you feel badly because you made someone else feel bad. Then you need to promise not to do that thing again or make that mistake again to the best of your ability. And then make that promise come true by actually taking some action to do whatever you can to make things right and correct the wrong. A friend of mine is a minister at one of our Unitarian Universalist congregations outside Boston. And like a lot of Unitarian Universalist congregations, a little while ago, some years ago, they put up a sign that said Black Lives Matter. And it was a big sign. It was on the lawn in the front of their church in the center of one of the suburbs of Boston. And when they put that sign up, well, it got vandalized. That means people wrote on it and ripped it and tore it apart. And they put it up again. And it got written on and torn apart and ruined again. And they put it up again. And it got ruined and written on and torn up again. But this time, the police caught who did it. And then the church did something very interesting. Instead of letting that person be punished by the courts and pay a fine or go to jail, they asked the judge to use the restorative justice program in that county. And they asked that the person who did the wrong thing sit down with the church, learn why it was wrong, why it was hurtful, educate themselves, and then do something to make it better. And that's what happened. And after the criminal engaged in this program, this is the letter they wrote to my friend's church. I did not think about how my actions would deeply affect your church community and the community at large. In meeting and talking with your minister and members of your church, I came to understand the many different consequences of my actions. I heard a lot of fear and hurt from the church members. I heard the church had received offensive phone calls and threatening and offensive mail, and a threatening and offensive sticker that had a black face with a red line through it had been put on the sign, and the sign had been ruined again and again before I ruined it. A member of your church told me about your son who is black and how he had been questioned by the police who wondered if the, quote, new black kid in the neighborhood lived here. He expressed the fear he had for his son going around town on his own. The police told me that they felt bad because they were letting the church down and the town down because the sign kept getting ruined and they couldn't catch who did it. As part of my agreement for repairing the wrong I did, I volunteered at the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry and helped at the Fair Foods program in Roxbury. I take full responsibility for my actions on Thanksgiving. The person ruined the sign on Thanksgiving Day. And the harm I have caused you. I cannot apologize enough. I also cannot thank you all enough for allowing me to go through the restorative justice program. You showed kindness and fairness when I did not. I will never cause you or anyone this kind of harm again. I'll definitely think through my actions more and how they will affect others before I act. I am so sorry. That's an apology. I hope that whenever I do something wrong, I have the courage to repair things through offering a real apology. When we apologize well, we mend ourselves, we mend the wrong, we mend the person or people that we hurt, and we also mend the whole world.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all I rest. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all we rest in this love.
When we give our time and energy to the work of this congregation, and when we donate to its financial support, we are giving gifts to each other. Each one gives to and receives gifts from all of our members and friends. Together, we also give to the community around us. If you are here for the first time, feel free to let the collection basket go by. Your presence here is your gift to us. If you prefer, you may mail a check to UUCD at 24 Clapham Ridge Road in Danbury. At the same time we take up this financial offering, children will be coming around to collect your donations of non-perishable food for the Dorothy Day Hospitality House as well. Thank you for your generosity this morning toward one another and toward Dorothy Day.
Okay, it's time to practice mending. The offertory is still being taken, but we're going to begin passing out some things to you as well. This would be the time to take an orange if you would like a sock to darn, and take a sock and a mending card and the thread and needle that it's attached to it. Careful, there is a needle attached to the card. So the kids are coming around, and everybody who would like one can have one. Some of you brought in something to mend yourself, and I have a few fabric scraps in the basket of mending cards that Maisie's taking around if anybody needs patches.
Okay, so I've brought in socks to mend. So the instructions that I'll provide will be for darning socks. This is a weaving method. You essentially are creating new fabric. If this feels too complicated for anyone, kids included, there's also a basket up here with some torn papers, and you can experiment with different ideas you have for repairing holes and rips in these papers. And of course, all things are optional, so you do not have to participate if you don't want to. This is just practice, just for learning. After I instruct you and you start giving it a try, I will offer a meditation on mending to go with the work of our hands. We don't have to get it perfect. We don't have to finish. Those who sew regularly can surely help us during coffee hour if anyone gets frustrated or stuck or doesn't understand the instructions. Here are the instructions for darning socks. First in video form. This is from a YouTube video posted by a user named Phil Chandler. We're just going to watch a little clip of it. This matches the instructions that are on the card, and I'm going to give you verbal instructions in a minute. But one of the things that you'll notice is that they're going to leave a little loop at the end for some flexibility. And in case the material shrinks in the wash. So once you get to your hole, you're going to kind of go next to your hole, and then once you might have to find your hole first in your sock, or you might have multiple holes to choose from. Sorry about the dog hair on some of the socks. Those are clean. You ran out of socks? Okay, some of you are going to have to share. And once you come to your hole, you're just going across. You're just going from one side to the other side. And then it's going to show you in a second once that's done, what you're going to do. You're going to turn it. Okay, now, you know what? I think this clip is playing at a slower pace than I had it. Oh, got it. Here we go. Okay, so now you're going to turn. So once it's done, now you're going to turn it, and you're going to just start weaving, including your little pieces on the outside of the hole. You're going to just start weaving your yarn through the other way. Okay, so first, turn your sock inside out and put the orange inside the sock wherever the hole is. Sorry, these are actually mandarins. I don't know if they're big enough or not. We're going to find out. You're going to hold the sock open. You're going to hold the hole open with that. You're going to pull the fabric tight around it. So turn that sock, put the orange inside where the hole is, and pull it tight. And then any excess threads will hopefully have already been trimmed by me for you. So hopefully I did that. That would otherwise be something you would do if you were at home doing this. Next, if the hole is particularly large or the fabric is weak in the area, you might choose to stitch around the hole or the weak part to strengthen it. You want to avoid tying knots that will leave a little uncomfortable spot on your foot. If it is preferable to have excess thread, and with weaving you can cut off the excess when you're done. After any stitching you do around the hole, the third step is following the stitching already on the sock. You're going to begin outside the hole, making that running stitch that goes in and out of the weave in a straight line. Most weave, even machine stitched, has 2 layers, so you may not have to go all the way through to the other side of the sock. Leave a loop on the end to give a little flexibility to the stitching and some room for shrinkage. And then keep going back and forth until eventually you're pulling the stitch across the hole. Once you finish stitching across the hole, you're going to And you're going to go over a little bit on the other side of the hole too. You're going to begin weaving the thread back and forth through the stitching in the other direction. So the instructions are on the card, and that card came from Laura Everett. And you can put it down if you get frustrated. Mending is an art. It isn't easy. It takes learning and practice. When Tony and I happened to be at that meeting where we practiced mending, just as you are now, we found it much more difficult than we thought it was going to be.
Way more difficult.
We learned that what is true for the mending that we do with our hands is often true for the mending we do with our hearts. We have to decide what we will take time to mend. We may not choose to mend everything. Some materials are not good materials. When we set out to mend something, we have to consider what exactly it is that we are mending. What kind of tear or hole are we dealing with? And what kind of material? What are our options? Mending can be slow work. It takes time. Sometimes we discover we need to do it differently than what we had planned when we first started. It's helpful not to do anything too tightly, to leave some flexibility in the repair work so the mended material can move. The process is messy. It doesn't look beautiful while we're doing it. Mending can be hard enough that we have to learn new things, practice new skills, or ask for someone to be with us while we do it, or ask for help. Sometimes we choose to mend in ways that make the mending visible. There can be a special kind of beauty in a patch or other bright signs that this is something mended. Mending does not restore exactly what was, but it can eliminate some tears and holes and strengthen some material. As with our hands, also with our hearts. Feel free to keep working as we bring the service to a close.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, you gonna do it? But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able.
Gathering here in community is one of the ways we repair and mend ourselves. As people engaged in the work of mending, when we leave here, we take what we can in our hearts and go and repair the world. When you leave here today, my friends, go in peace. And if you're new to us, come say hi to me. I'll be up here after the service.